In the lush ruins of Copán, history tells of a city ruled by Maya kings, carved into stone. But ancient DNA has just revealed a genetic twist. Key royal lineages carried surprising links to distant highland Mexico, while mothers traced roots across half the Maya world. If Copán's founders were outsiders, what else about this civilization is not as it seems? And how did these hidden origins set the stage for both its meteoric rise and spectacular collapse? Dense rainforest once pressed against the stone edges of Copán, a city that rose from the western valleys of Honduras during the classic Maya era. Here, limestone pyramids pierce the canopy, their steps worn smooth by centuries of ceremony and rule. The city's heart unfolds in plazas lined with carved stelae, towering monuments etched with the faces and deeds of kings, their glyphs still sharp despite the centuries. Palaces and ball courts sprawl across the Acropolis, their walls decorated with intricate reliefs of gods, captives, and cosmic serpents. Copán's architecture is both grand and precise. The hieroglyphic stairway, with its 2,000 glyph blocks, climbs the side of a temple, telling the city's dynastic saga in stone. Nearby, the Rosalila temple nestles beneath later layers, its vivid stucco masks and jaguar motifs preserved like a time capsule. Royal courts and elite compounds cluster at the city's core, but neighborhoods of artisans, farmers, and traders stretch outward, their homes mapped by the grid of ancient causeways. Strategically placed, Copán commanded a crossroads between the Maya lowlands and the highlands of present-day Guatemala and Mexico. Goods flowed through its markets: obsidian from the highlands, jade from Motaga, cacao, salt, and colorful feathers. Trade routes fanned out from Copán's plazas, tying it to distant cities like Tikal, Calakmul, and Teotihuacan. This traffic brought not only wealth, but also ideas, styles, and people, shaping Copán into a melting pot of Maya and foreign influences. Monumental art and architecture signaled power to both locals and visitors. The city's stelae and altars, some weighing tons, were raised at regular intervals, public reminders of royal authority and cosmic order. Even today, the ruins inspire awe. The scale of construction, the artistry of stoneworkers, and the city's precise alignment with celestial events speak to the ambition and sophistication of Copán's builders. In the shadows of these monuments, the story of Copán's rulers, their origins, and the city's place in a changing world begins to unfold. In the spring of 427 AD, a man known as Kinich Yaxcucmo arrived in the Copán Valley. His name, meaning Radiant First Quetzalmacá, soon appeared on stelae and altars carved in the blocky glyphs of early Maya writing. Inscriptions and later court records describe him as a foreigner, a figure who crossed distant lands before founding a new royal line on the western edge of the Maya world. His journey is traced not just in legend, but in the iconography that followed. Warriors' goggles and feathered shields, motifs echoing the power and prestige of Teotihuacan, the great metropolis of central Mexico. The new king's arrival was more than a personal triumph. It set the stage for 4 centuries of dynastic rule. 16 rulers, each claiming descent from Kinich Yaxcucmo, would oversee Copán's rise into a city of scholars, artists, and ambitious builders. Their names and deeds were recorded in stone, their faces immortalized on monuments that still stand in the city's plazas. The dynasty's story unfolds on the hieroglyphic stairway. Over 2,000 glyph blocks recount the lineage, coronations, and cosmic claims of Copán's kings. Yet the founder's origins have always been a puzzle. Skeletal analysis of a royal tomb attributed to Kinich Yaxcucmo reveals injuries from battle and bone chemistry, hinting at a childhood spent far from Copán, perhaps in the Piton forests or the Mexican highlands. The regalia buried with him, shell and jade, obsidian blades, and foreign-style ornaments, signal a deliberate blend of local and imported traditions. Even the city's earliest monuments mix Maya and Central Mexican styles, suggesting a calculated display of both legitimacy and innovation. This blend of backgrounds and symbols was more than decoration. It was a political strategy, crafted to anchor Copán's rulers in a wider world of alliances and rivalries. Every stela, every altar, and every glyph was part of a campaign to claim authority, connect to distant powers, and shape the city's identity. For centuries, this narrative held sway, passed from king to king, until the city's fortunes began to falter. Now, with the arrival of genetic science, the question of the dynasty's true origins can be tested in a new way, one that reaches beyond stone and story into the very code of their ancestors. Recovering ancient DNA from Copán's tombs demanded a level of precision that only recent breakthroughs could deliver. In the humid tropics, DNA fragments rapidly decay, leaving behind little more than chemical traces. Yet, a team from Trinity College Dublin, led by Dr. Shigeki Nakagome, managed to extract and sequence genetic material from 7 individuals buried between the 5th to 9th centuries. Each sample passed through a rigorous process. Bone and tooth powder was collected in clean room conditions, every tool sterilized, every surface monitored for contamination. Laboratory teams used specialized library preparation techniques designed for ultra-short, damaged DNA, maximizing the recovery of ancient genetic code while minimizing modern interference. The scientists paired these genetic results with isotope analysis from tooth enamel, reading signatures of childhood diet and geographic origin. This allowed them to cross-check whether an individual had grown up locally or arrived from afar, layering biological data with archaeological context. By integrating these lines of evidence, genomic, isotopic, and material, the team could reconstruct not only ancestry, but also patterns of isotope mobility and social connection. While the dataset is small, the depth of analysis is unprecedented for Maya archaeology. Each genome, painstakingly sequenced and cross-validated, stands as a rare window into the lives of Copán's residents. The combination of strict contamination controls, advanced sequencing, and multidisciplinary integration means that even a handful of individuals can reveal broad trends about population history, migration, and social structure. In the hands of these researchers, the tombs of Copán become more than silent chambers. They become records of journeys, alliances, and origins written in the language of DNA. Beneath the stone floors of Copán's ancient acropolis, 2 burials lie in silent conversation. The first, labeled CPM-13 by researchers, rests in a chamber crowded with symbols of power: jade pectorals carved in the shapes of gods and kings, fine ceramics painted with courtly scenes, and shells imported from distant coasts. Every object is a statement. This was someone who moved at the heart of Copán's dynasty, a leader perhaps, or a close kin to the royal line. The careful arrangement of grave goods, the richness of the offerings, and the tomb's architectural prominence all point to a life spent at the apex of Maya society. Below, just a few meters away, CPM-12 occupies a very different kind of space. The body was placed directly beneath the elite tomb, in a context that suggests ritual sacrifice. There are jade pendants here too, but their motifs speak more of devotion and duty than of personal glory. Osteological analysis reveals trauma consistent with ceremonial killing, a fate reserved for those chosen as offerings in moments of political or religious importance. The spatial relationship, the subordinate placement, and the signs of peri-mortem violence all hint at a life that ended in service to the city's rulers or its gods. Shared, yet distinct ancient DNA analysis reveals that both CPM-13 and CPM-12 carry the same Y chromosome haplogroup Q1b, a lineage common among indigenous peoples of the Americas. But detailed genomic comparison finds no close kinship between them. Their proximity in death was not the result of blood ties, but of social logic. One a dynastic figure, the other a sacrificial companion, each selected for their role in the drama of Copán's royal court. These findings unsettle old assumptions about Maya burial practices, showing that power, ritual, and ancestry intersected in ways far more complex than simple family succession. In these 2 tombs, the human cost and the calculated performance of authority are written side by side, preserved in both artifact and bone. Genetic evidence from Copán's tombs reveals a city shaped by movement and exchange. Mitochondrial DNA passed down through mothers tells a story of diversity. Among the 7 individuals sequenced, researchers found both A2 and C1 haplogroups, spanning 3 women and 2 men. These maternal lines reach across the Maya world, connecting Copán's elite to distant communities, and highlighting the role of marriage alliances in building power. The presence of both haplogroups in high status and sacrificial burials suggests that Copán society drew its strength from a wide pool of origins, not a single founding family. The genetic threads do not end at Copán's city walls. Analysis shows deep continuity, linking these classic period burials to earlier populations from the late Archaic era, as far back as 5600 BCE. This same genetic signature persists in later Maya centers like Chichen Itza and Campeche, and in millions of present-day Maya people. The story of Copán's population is not one of replacement, but of endurance and adaptation over thousands of years. Yet the genomes also reveal something unexpected. About 6% of Copán's ancient DNA traces back to the highlands of central Mexico, particularly regions like Oaxaca. This highland Mexican ancestry appears most strongly among individuals buried with elite status, in line with archaeological evidence of close ties to Teotihuacan and other powerful centers. Admixture modeling suggests this was not a gradual drift, but a pulse, an influx tied to the city's founding and the arrival of outsiders who would shape its destiny. Isotopic analysis of tooth enamel adds another dimension. Many of Copán's elite, including those in richly furnished tombs, grew up far from the Copán Valley. Their childhoods left chemical signatures matching distant regions, underscoring the importance of migration, alliance, and mobility among the city's upper ranks. In Copán, power was not just inherited, it was assembled, one journey at a time. By the early 8th century, Copán's valley was packed with households, farmers, artisans, and laborers living side by side in a city that had never been so crowded. Genetic analysis of ancient remains points to a population of nearly 19,000 by around 730 AD, a figure that likely undercounts the true head count. This growth was fueled by a revolution in maize agriculture. Terraces climbed the valley slopes, river channels were redirected, and fallow cycles tightened to wring every possible harvest from the land. Forests that once blanketed the hills receded as fields expanded, and the soil itself bore the weight of constant planting. Archaeological cores show layers of ancient pollen and signs of erosion, evidence of a landscape pushed to its limits. For the families who depended on maize, each year's yield mattered more than the last. A bad season could mean hunger or worse. As more people crowded into the valley, the balance between people and land grew delicate. Every household depended on the success of the next planting, and the margin for error shrank with each generation. The city's prosperity rested on this fragile foundation, making Copán more vulnerable to any shock that might come. After centuries of growth, Copán's fortunes turned with startling speed. Around 750 AD, population numbers began to fall. Pollen records and sediment cores from the valley floor show a pattern of droughts in the late 8th and early 9th centuries. Isotope anomalies from Lake Chichancanab and cave stalagmites across the region match this timeline, revealing years of failed rains and shrinking harvests. The city's farmers, already pushing the land to its limit, faced soils that could no longer recover between plantings. Maize yields crashed. For commoners, signs of malnutrition and physical stress appear in their skeletons, stunted growth, enamel defects, and joint disease. Meanwhile, elite tombs from the same period still hold jade, shell, and fine ceramics, a stark contrast to the hardship outside palace walls. Political fractures deepened the crisis. Inscriptions record shifting alliances and open conflict with rival city-states like Tikal and Calakmul. Royal monuments, once raised at regular intervals, suddenly stop after 820 AD. The plazas fall silent. Authority drains from the court as the old order unravels. Households are abandoned, markets empty, and the city's great ceremonial spaces are left unfinished. For the people of Copán, the collapse is not a single event but a cascade of failures, environmental, political, and social, each compounding the last. The city's golden age ends not with a bang, but with a long, grinding retreat from the world it once commanded. The story of Copán's people is far from complete. Ancient DNA has offered a rare window into their origins, but the view remains narrow, drawn mostly from tombs of the city's elite. This focus leaves open questions about the lives of farmers, artisans, and the wider population whose voices are missing from the genetic record. Scientists recognize the need for broader sampling, reaching beyond palaces and ceremonial centers to household burials and outlying settlements. Each new genome could reveal overlooked migrations, hidden family ties, or unexpected patterns of ancestry. The next frontier extends beyond DNA sequence alone. Researchers are turning to epigenetics to trace how drought and famine left their mark in the bodies of Copán's people, chemical scars that can signal stress across generations. Ancient pathogen DNA may expose outbreaks of disease that swept through the valley, while proteomics promises to reconstruct diets and daily routines with unprecedented detail. These techniques, still in early stages, require careful collaboration with descendant communities and local authorities, ensuring that research is both scientifically rigorous and ethically grounded. As the field advances, each discovery is shaped by partnership. Maya descendants, scholars, and scientists now work together, weaving genetic evidence with oral history and living tradition. The search for Copán's origins becomes not just a scientific pursuit, but a shared journey to understand the endurance and complexity of a civilization whose legacy continues to unfold. Today, millions across Mesoamerica still carry the genetic legacy of Copán, proof that ancient migrations, alliances, and stresses echo into the present. As DNA science unlocks ever deeper histories, the story of who belongs and why keeps evolving. In every living Maya community, the past isn't just remembered, it's written in blood, bone, and the choices that shape the future.